Okay, so we've learned how to determine viable seeds from unviable seeds. We've learned how to collect our seeds. Let's dive into germination.
Okay. All right, well, we've done a little demo here where we started seeds on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today is Friday. To give you an idea of how soon or how fast and how they actually germinate, what they look like.
And so what sort of conditions are necessary to germinate seeds?
Warmth is good. 70s, even 80s is fine. You want to never let them dry out once you start with the water. And probably the most common way of even commercial greenhouses will do this, will start these seeds in paper towels. It's tried and true. It's worked for many, many years. But there are a number of ways to do it, simply by keeping moisture on the seeds and never letting them dry out, and they're going to sprout.
So moisture, warmth,
right.
And what about light?
Well, you wouldn't want to put them in bright light. I don't think the cannabis seeds are affected by like room light or ambient light, but it's certainly not in sunlight or anything that's going to really cause them any sort of stress at all. Now, generally people do it in darkness. Even when you're just covering it with paper towels, it's pretty subdued light by the time it gets there. And I've never seen light affect it. Although light does affect germination of some seeds, I don't think it does cannabis.
Okay.
Right.
And so then as far as timing, as you just got through mentioning, you've kind of staged out some seeds that you've been germinating over the last few days for us, right?
Now, all of these have been at about, I think the temperature range from about 22 to 27 degrees centigrade, which is what, at the highest, I think that's about 80 degrees.
Don't ask me to make that math conversion.
Okay. So I think that's about 72 to 80 or so. Now I have tested seeds in terms of seeing how the temperature affects them, and I germinated seeds in a refrigerator. It took about 8 days, and in a regular room temperature it took 2 to 3 days. So you can see how the temperature does affect.
You've germinated seeds in a refrigerator?
Yeah, the refrigerator was, it's about 36 degrees.
Yeah.
Right.
So that they can germinate as
absolutely. They really just need warmth and above freezing temperatures.
Simple as that. Wow.
Right.
Very good. So how long have these seeds been germinating?
Well, they start from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today is Friday when we're shooting.
So that would be 5 days that these have been germinating. Let's want to have a look and see what's going on in here.
Okay.
Let's just very gently open this up and tell us what we're seeing here, Mel.
Some really long tap roots. In fact, these are probably too long, much too long to plant. Right.
Okay, so these seeds, these are beyond, where you really want to be in germinating to get them to be viable.
This is why you really need to check them every day until you know about how long it takes. And then you say, well, these seeds take about 3 days, so on the third day you're out there looking at them. Now, the one thing you have to remember with seeds and germination is that the seed has stored food in it, and the food is used to basically put down its root and put up its little sprout, spread its leaves, and then it can make its own food. So, so the longer this taproot is out, the less food it has to get the sprout up, get those leaves spread. So you really don't want to let them go anywhere near this long. This is way too long for planting.
So let's see what else we have here. So this is this one have been 4 days out on these 20-year-old seeds that you germinated, and and again we could see some various lengths going on in here.
Yes.
Everything from some that are just beginning to kind of open up to others that have already come out of the shell.
All of these are totally plantable. Those down here, all plantable. It's a good length for them.
Let's just
take some of those out.
Yeah, let's get a look at a couple of these, see what we're talking about. There we are.
So what would you do, and you always do this with seeds, is you always plant it in the direction the root is going. So this you would plant it like that. You want where it's pointing down, because the seeds are geotropic. In other words, they respond to gravity, so they're always going to try to go down. Naturally, they want to get into the earth. So you help it out by doing this, because if you planted it like this, let's say, with the root planting up, that root would then just start growing like that. And again, you're taking the energy away from it actually sprouting and getting on with its life.
An important point is when the plant is in this very young stage,
Right.
it's just germinated a little sprout, it's extremely fragile.
Right.
You have to be very careful with the seeds and the plant at this stage. As you could see, I was just trying to take out a couple to demonstrate, and just in gently kind of just pinching out a couple,
Right.
you know, I broke off one of those tap roots there, and that one's done.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to get that. That one's not going to grow now.
Right.
So always being very careful with this stuff.
Now this one here, I did something that kind of helps with the direction that the root is growing in, is that I wetted the paper towel, then pressed the seeds up here, and then covered that with another piece of towel to try to get these to go straight down, which they, for the most part, did. You can see that root is going down, but for most of these, this again is really, you want to plant them much sooner than this.
That's just amazing, though. So, like as you just mentioned, the root, it's naturally looking, you know, to go down. It's okay. It's using gravity to find it, you know, its orientation here on the planet, right?
Exactly.
But that's a neat little trick that you have there
Yes.
to actually use that gravity to your advantage to begin training that root.
Right.
Even before it's come out of the seed.
Yes.
So when it comes time to transplant, you don't have these little kind of curlicue tap
Right.
roots that you oftentimes see, right?
And we'll show you some more of that too.
Okay.
And the problems. Now this is just,
So now we are 2 days
this is 2 days,
of soaking.
and they've just started. This. See, most of them, I've got a little taproot out. And at this point, you can plant them knowing that the seed is viable. One of the main reasons why you germinate first is that you're not wasting a pot or a spot in your soil on a seed that doesn't germinate.
There's just a couple that are just
Right.
barely starting to
There's some
show.
here, a little better here.
The taproots just
Yeah,
beginning to
the
come out.
taproots are coming out of the. And this, I used to recommend people plant at this point. They know the direction of the root. Also, I had so many early on people who were inexperienced with this. They had so much trouble getting seeds to sprout. I would tell them to sprout them first, put them in there, and then you have a better chance of knowing what's good and what will sprout.
And then finally, you have some that have just been soaking for 24 hours now.
About
right?
about that,
About.
yes. Let me get these apart here. Oh, here we go. This is it. This is another one where okay, the first one, this one here is just starting. So none of these probably need another day, but I can see, looking really closely, that they're just starting now.
And I think it's a testament to the
The storage?
yeah, but just
Right.
the effectiveness of this technique.
Well,
You know, as
yeah.
simple as this technique is to germinate, we have these 20-year-old seeds, and again,
Right.
within just 24 hours, 48 hours, they've already begun to germinate. So what do you have here?
This is another one with doing that directional, getting that taproot to go down. This is another, unfortunately.
Those didn't stay seeded as well as
Right.
as
These
as
I
the other
started
batch
quite
had.
early, but that was the same thing. I put the seeds here,
Yeah.
pressed them into a wet towel, and just put this over that. And from this, I would say 3 days would be about the time that I would be planting these seeds.
All right.
So these are obviously way past that point.
So other than using the paper towel method,
Right.
what are some other methods that people do and can be used to germinate seeds?
Well, a lot of them use things like rock wool, and you'll buy these in slabs, which are individual things that you can just break off, and basically you just pop the seed in here. First, of course, the whole pad is soaked, and then put in a sink to drain off the excess water, and then you would just drop seeds in here and keep it in a moist room or a moist container, and you're on your way.
So rather than germinate first, you know, or soak first, you can directly sow
Right.
the seeds into whatever medium you're going to
Right.
start in, with the same work in soil. If people want
Yes.
to go directly into soil.
They can go directly into soil. You know, when you plant hemp, where you want all those stalks to be nice and close, basically they just till the soil, get it a little loose, and then they broadcast the seeds. Just throw down thousands of seeds and get stands that are, you know, the stalks are this close together. That's what you want, because you're growing stalks. You're not growing buds.
Sure.
And see, some other things they use are things like pea pellets, which these expand. Once they expand, the same thing, you soak it, let it drain a little bit, excess water, drop the seed in here, and you're on your way. The same with things like this, root riot. These things are also used in cloning. This is larger rock wool cubes, and the rock wool also, the hydroponic growers generally use rock wool for the most part. You also use deep water and some aeroponics, but the rock wool is very easy because you can take these little things, individual, once they sprout, you can then place it on a larger cube of rock wool, and I'll show you that in a little while. But they just fit right in, or you can have even a 4-inch cube, and then it's put on a slab. So there's no real transplanting. It just goes very, very quickly.
You just take one plug, it goes into the next larger,
Exactly.
and then it goes on from there.
Exactly.
One of the great things, about the rock wool is the fact that it has, it retains this kind of 50% water, 50% air. And what's very important through the germination is the availability of oxygen for the roots, right?
Yes. You don't want it sealed.
So Mel, I understand you brought along some images for us that kind of just documents this process of the germination.
Well, just to explain what happens, so they actually see what happens.
I always love looking at your photos, man.
Thank you. So germination is when the seeds go from dormancy to active growth and begin their life cycle. And germination is actually the same word you would use for pollen landing on something. It also germinates. So within the seed, if you just look inside it, it actually has an embryo in there. It's a plant embryo, right? But it has the prospective root in there. It has or the root cells to grow. It also has the embryonic leaves. There are actually leaves in there. They're not green because there's no light there for them to manufacture chlorophyll. But it's all right in there along with enough food for it to get going. So one of the reasons you soak seeds is to know which ones are viable. We've all talked about that. Now we'll just go through the sequence. Very often you'll see a natural bend in the way it pushes up through the soil. Occasionally, you'll just see the seed come straight up, and then the leaves will come out. But generally, the bend is the way it breaks through the soil. And this still has the seed shells on it, which it needs to expand and push those off. And here is the little sprout. Those little embryonic leaves are different from the leaves the rest of the time the plant grows. You notice there's no dentition around the edges. It's completely smooth. And this here just shows you the whole sequence. That's germination.
That's fantastic.
Right.
Well, excellent.
I think we did all of them, right? Yeah, we did. So that was that. Yeah,
All right, any more?
it's all done.
Okay.
Oh, this one here, the geotropic, let's put this one here in there too, okay?
Sure.
All right, this is, again, talking about the fact that the seeds are geotropic.
What does geotropic mean again?
Geotropic means directed to the earth.
To the gravity. Okay.
To the gravity, right. And see, when you sprout them on a flat surface, and then they're moved around this way or that, you can see that the embryonic root, the radicle, is trying to find down. When it's on a flat surface, it can't go down. So you can see it's some of them hooking around.
They just start searching.
And it just means it takes more effort and more of the food that it has stored to get that root down and secure it in the earth. So this is why you want to plant things that are like a nice straight root, or if it's curved, that's fine. Just make sure that that point is down when you place it in the soil.
And I think if people were to employ that technique that you showed us earlier, you know, by either, you can have it on a plate, and you can angle that plate, so that that'll bring them down. You could lock them into the side of a bowl, kind of like you did here. You could put them you can put them into a paper towel, use a Ziploc baggie, make a little greenhouse out of that, and then hang the baggie. And again, that will allow the roots to go down.
But again, all these things take time. So this is why things like using the slabs or these whole things that you just pop the seed in, that's the way most of the commercial things are going to go.
Well, excellent. I think we're ready to dive into some transplanting now, right?
Okay.
Now that our seeds are germinated.
Right.
Perfect. Okay, we'll be right back.